thank you, Mick, for agreeing to be part of the Veterans Wellbeing Centre Hornsby video documentary called My War Never Ends. And it's a documentary about veterans suffering from PTSD. So thanks for getting involved, mate.
Pleasure.
That's fine. Now, you and I both served in Vietnam together, both in the same tank crew, actually. So it's good to catch up with you again. And thanks for giving your time, mate, please.
That was only 50 years ago.
50 odd years ago, yeah. So the actual video that we're putting together, or the documentary, is about the 4 different veterans and their issues with PTSD and how they cope with it. Hi, my name's George Main. I'm the President of the Veterans Wellbeing Centre at Hornsby. Today we're introducing and talking to Melissa McLean, who's a ex-Navy veteran, and the idea is that we're getting stories of veterans who are suffering from PTSD and listening to their journey and using their story to help other veterans. So I'll get Melissa to introduce yourself. Melissa, welcome. Thank you for being part of the video. Tell me a little bit about your ex-Navy.
Yeah, thanks, George. My name is Melissa McLean. I spent 12.5 years in the Navy. I was a medic in submarines and was medically discharged last year.
Okay, so you very recently just got out.
Okay.
Yeah. So I understand that you're also a gold carder.
I do. I have a DVA gold card, which is a huge help.
Good. Okay. Now, tell me a little bit about being a medic on board a submarine, of all things. I mean, that's an unusual job, isn't it? I mean, even for a female, I don't mean to be derogatory, but, you know, for a girl to be on board a submarine as a medic, that must be pretty hard work.
It was pretty challenging.
Yeah.
But I worked with some great crews and some challenging times.
Yeah.
But I'd say, throughout my career, I think being awarded my Dolphins would be one of the proudest moments I have of my career.
We were speaking a bit earlier about these dolphins. So that's the badge that you wear above your medals, and it's 2 dolphins.
That's correct.
Now, to become a submariner, you were telling me earlier that you actually get not just be a medic, you've actually got to drive the submarine and do all other jobs as well.
Yeah, so most people have dual roles on the submarine. There's only 60 personnel on board, so in the early stages of my submarine career, I worked on the combat system.
Yep.
And then ended up learning to drive the submarine.
Wow.
And eventually became a control room manager, which looks after some of the navigation as well.
Yeah.
So I'd work in a rotation system, 6 hours on, 6 hours off. And then, when medical incidents arose, I would deal with them as they came up.
So you also spoke a bit earlier about you didn't have a sick bay to operate or do anything in. So if you're driving a submarine and something happened, what would be the procedure then?
Yeah, it's quite challenging, and basically just treat people where we can, and if it's something serious, then we use the junior sailors mess, and we can clear everyone out, put a couple of sentries there, and use the tables that we would previously be eating off to treat people.
It sounds very, very much like some of those very early movies you see where they're on board the ships, with Captain Cook and them, and they clean down the table and you start operating people.
Yeah, so it's definitely challenging and a huge responsibility.
Of course, yeah.
And I think
you'd be responsible medically for the whole crew, from the captain all the way down, in case something happens. Yeah.
Yes, and I think they do. The Navy did provide. So they put me through my paramedics degree.
Yeah, right.
We also do some nursing training, but I think it's difficult because you normally, when things happen, it's never when you're fresh.
Okay.
It's always when.
So I imagine you would have like medical kits and things on board to use as well?
We do. So we got basically the submarine sort of split into forward and aft. So we have medical kits at either end. So we lose one half of the submarine, we've still got we've
Don't
still got
tell me you lose one half the submarine. That sounds terrible.
When I say that, in 2014 I was on board a submarine that caught fire,
Wow.
and worst fire that we've ever had on a submarine, and we had a significant amount of personnel back after the time, and thankfully, everybody, no one was hurt. So,
Good.
but I was doing the scribing up until the time where I could provide aid, and the last thing I was scribing was the marine technician back after the platform was melting. He was piping through the platform was melting under his feet. So it was it was pretty traumatic.
Sounds very challenging.
It was very
Extremely challenging.
It was challenging. I think we didn't have the resources. There's only one of me, and there was.
You'd really have to think on your feet, wouldn't you? I mean, you've got to be able to problem solve and do all those other issues.
Think on your feet.
Drive the bloody submarine, do everything else at the same
Yeah.
time.
And think
then
outside the box
wow,
sometimes.
yeah.
So I guess, we don't have Dr. Google. So the only information that you've got is what you've carried with you or what's in the book. So you can't.
So with this 12 years you did, how long were you on submarines for?
I was 10 years as a qualified
okay.
submariner, and I had I went to sea on all 6 of our submarines.
Yeah.
I had sometimes a couple times.
Okay.
Postings varying between 3 months to a year and a half. I just moved. In my earlier career, we were short on medics, so I was posted to one submarine. I had 12 hours notice to fly to Cairns, get on another submarine, sailed to Guam. Then I flew back from Guam and boat transferred back on the next day back onto my submarine. So
Amazing.
yeah.
So how do you think all those traumatic events triggered anything, or do you have any issues? So like when you said the submarine caught on fire and some of these other dramatic things that have been happening, do you think you've got some issues from all that? Or
I think when I look back to, I felt like I coped pretty well at the time, but even today I find myself, I guess I'd have nightmares and think about, I guess, what could have gone wrong. We were very lucky that no one was seriously injured in that incident, and but I found myself going back and thinking what could have happened, or could, how would I have handled
I guess
it?
in the heat of the moment, you're so well trained, you just do what you have to do, and you're acting on adrenaline, and you do what needs to be done. It's just that I think when we tend to leave the service is when we start to recall things.
It's true. I think not only that, I think there's a lot of pressure situations on a submarine. Going away on operations is it's a long time away in difficult circumstances, and I think a lot of it does play on your mind when you get out, and I think it caught me off guard. So I didn't think you'd come back to you as much as it has when I got out.
Okay, so when you left after your 13 years, was that a medical discharge, or did you choose to pay off?
No, I was medically discharged, and fortunately I had a series of I guess poor supervisors, poor commands that just didn't support me. I had a unfortunate incident early on in my career where I was sexually assaulted by my supervisor, and after putting a complaint in, I lost my posting and things. But thankfully there was a organisation of dispute resolution, and after going through a really hard time with that, I met this lady Sue, and she was able to help me process and get through. And after spending 2 years being medically downgraded, I actually was able to return to submarine career and served again for another 4 years after that. So
that was post that incident.
Post that incident,
And then you had an issue for 2 years to try and get some help.
Trying to help, and then after that, some help with psychology, some help with Sue, and and also there was, I had a good command team back then that really supported me. The CEO of Penguin at the time, he was amazing, and
Yeah, so generally, you were saying that perhaps you didn't get all the support from the Navy when some of these issues were happening until you actually found out and had someone to do something.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I guess I found a command team that that listened to me, and I was really upset the way that I was treated after putting a complaint in. I believed I had the courage to stand up to a bully, and it was, yeah, and I think going through this process and actually having somebody listen to me and acknowledge that the way I was treated was wrong, yeah, it helped me process that.
You realise it's not you that's at fault, that
No.
the system's at fault and some of these other people are.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I came and then I went back to service, and then unfortunately, the last submarine I was posted to, I lost my granddad, who I was really close with. He was in the New Zealand Army, and we shared a lot of special moments, a lot of special Anzac days together. And he passed away while I was at sea. And when I pulled into the next port and realised that he passed away, it was really difficult. It was a huge loss, and unfortunately, I just didn't get much support. I was trying to get back to my mum, and they told me to take my own leave and pay for my own flights, this sort of thing. And it was just,
No support.
it really hurt. So anyway, we did that, and I got back, supported mum, and then I got sick myself, and then I couldn't. Next time I couldn't sail. I guess I was put.
Downhill from there.
Yeah, I was put down for it. And instead of somebody asking me if I was okay, basically they just got angry at me because I couldn't sail, and I spent a lot of my years putting everything I could into helping everybody else, and this was just one of those moments where I needed somebody to ask me if I was okay, and so unfortunately I didn't put a uniform back on after that day. So
Right, so that's the Navy finished. You've taken discharge.
Yep.
I get a phone call from somebody called Melissa. I'm up the country filming another documentary, and hi, my name's Melissa McLean. I'm coming to Sydney. Can you help me out? And it was you.
It was me.
And
Yes.
you contacted me, and then through that we arranged for you to go to the National Centre for Veterans Health. So you want to tell me a little bit about that perhaps, because that's part of the coping mechanisms and the healing part of what we're talking about.
Yep.
So we've had a Navy career which for you was successful in some ways, great qualifications but little support throughout the different issues. Then kind of a breakdown, leaving the service, coming to Sydney from, you're up the country or something, were you?
Yeah, so I left Western Australia, sold my house, moved to Sydney, and then I spent some time in Bathurst, and then relocated back this way, and was looking for
some help. So we send you off to the National Centre for Veterans Health.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about your experiences there, because it's important that we can tell other people that these centres are available, because the National Centre for Veterans Health is ran out at Concord Hospital, and that was put together from a previous governor was Marie Bashir, who decided that we needed to get that back in, because Concord was once a military hospital and then went to private hospital, even though they do veterans. So NCVH was created. You went out there.
I did. I've just spent the last 3 months going out there, and honestly, I can't believe how amazing it is. When I went in there, I was having trouble sleeping. I was in pain. I struggled to see what any kind of future looked like. I was really down. I was really depressed, and I couldn't see a way out. I couldn't look past the service, and and I struggled. I think, and then I started going to the Veterans Health Centre, and just a whole team of people there that are just amazing. They've got everything in a one-stop shop. So I had we've got a psychologist. I've got gyms. Gyms. I had an exercise physiologist, a pain specialist. So I've just finished my third pain procedure, which is helping me with the chronic pain. And the psychologist has helped me get through heaps, diversional therapists, just to sort of engage in other areas and everything. And they've also got, people from RSL Life Care there, and a DVA representative.
Yes, good.
So and a caseworker that manages a lot. So I'm going to say that before I went there, I'd say I was broken.
Yeah.
I couldn't say another word.
You sound like you're on the mend now.
Yeah.
From the very first time I've spoken to you, I found you to be very positive and very out there. So I'm just amazed at all these things that have happened to you in the past, and I think you're quite strong because just the vibration I get from you and our conversations over the last year or so that we met. But you've obviously had a long journey, and I think it's not over yet. You've still got a lot to go, but you sound very positive about it all.
Yeah.
Do they organise your medication and things of that out there?
They've got a rehab doctor that sort of oversees everything, and they also liaise with the civilian GP that I've got now. So they just look after everything. And honestly, I couldn't imagine it to have come out where I am.
Well
and
done.
yeah,
I
so
think there's a lot to do with yourself too, with your own personality. As I said, you're a very strong person. Now, if you have any issues still, do you have someone to call on? I mean, I know you've just done the program and it's only been a short while.
yeah, I've got a good network. I have a couple of other friends that have gotten out that were also medically discharged that have PTSD. So I'm in contact with them. So we talk, and I guess the thing we sort of find in common is that it's hard to describe PTSD to other people.
Yeah.
It's not like a broken arm. They can see a cast on and then it's fixed. Mental health is it's hard for people to understand. It's hard to explain. So I know for some people it's hard for family to understand that didn't go through. So
Because they can't see a wound.
no, you can't see a wound. You can't see plaster on, plaster off. It's just so I guess what we realise is that spend less effort trying to make people understand, and find people that do understand that you can talk to. And I also have a psychiatrist as well and a psychologist, so being able to talk to them and talk through the procedure helps, and my dog helps, and I've just got some really supportive friends. So
That's what you need.
and also with the sub branch. So when I got out, I joined the sub branch in Bathurst and made connections there, and then obviously I got in contact with you when I moved back to Sydney, and I find that just being able to connect with people that understand and the friendly banter that goes with it.
Well, Melissa, from our conversation, I think that you're starting on that road to recovery, and I think that help you've received from NCVH is going to work wonders. I'm sure you're going to be good. Now, you did tell me earlier that you have a little mate that hangs around with you. His name is Teddy.
I do. I have my dog Teddy. I've had him since he was a puppy, and he's been amazing through this whole journey. And I can't underestimate the power that dogs
having a dog there.
Yeah.
So Teddy's not a service dog at the moment. Teddy's your personal dog, and he's been with you for 10 years, and he's your comfort at the moment. But have you got a plan for later on? I think you wanted to go into business.
Yes, I guess, looking towards the future now. I'm doing a dog training course next year, and then my goal for the future will be to train assistance dogs for veterans and emergency service workers with PTSD, and I think they're just so amazing, and I think that I want to be able to help other people.
By helping other people, it's also going to help you because you know where the journey is, and you've had these issues. And there'll be issues for a long time, but you're managing well, and you'll be able to help others, and I think that's a good part of the therapy.
For sure.
Now, what would you recommend for a young veteran who's just leaving the service has got some issues, similar to what you might have gone through. So what advice would you have for someone who's got some issues?
I think definitely the local sub branch is a huge support. Just with being able to get in contact with other veterans and also the knowledge of services that are available, and yeah, the Veterans Health Centre is another great place to be able to get back on track. But I think it's just important to be able to talk to somebody, and yeah.
I think perhaps the hardest part would be asking for help, you think?
For sure, and I think
That's the first step?
it's difficult because I guess we all see our experiences, you know, differently, and I think, you know, originally I felt guilty, you know, I thought my situation is not as bad as other people's, and I think going through the process and talking with, you know, getting professional help has been able to see that it doesn't diminish my experience. You know, it's just my experience, and we all need a way to cope. And for me, definitely, finding that professional help, and also having my dog and a support network around you.
Well, Melissa, thank you for being part of the documentary, explaining your journey, because your story is quite important. And we're filming several other veterans, a couple of older guys, an Air Force guy, a Navy, and so we're kind of covering all bases. But thank you, and your story is going to help somebody else, I'm sure. As you said, I think the hardest thing is asking for help to start off with, and you've been there, and I think you're really going to go well. Now, at the end of this video, there'll also be a series of contact details for help services like Lifeline and RSL Life Care Services and others. So thank you once again, Mel, for being involved.